Yeah, you got to remember, this is an elimination game. Best of 5. Loser goes home, winner goes on. Welcome to day 2 of the Rocket Baguette Summer Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go into the first game of the day. And it's going to be Solary on the attack first of all. Exotic looking for Yukis in the middle. He's shot right onto net. Metenčuks able to block that one away early.
Decent little opener here. Met straight across, relating wave. A little bit slow, a bit sluggy to get up there, and Met's just to drop it down. Crafters, we've seen these teams already play. We had the honour doing the endpoint, but it's Kerr out with the one shot. Wave deals with it, pushes it wide.
And Solary are going to be right on you, shooting high and fast, which is kind of what Endpoint did yesterday, but they defended well, certainly relating wave yesterday, getting the lion's share of saves under his name. Here comes Virtuoso, who we named as the MVP, Danny. When they were taking on Monkeys, he was just phenomenal upfield.
It's a good attribute to have as well. It's just how well can you do it against this French dominant team. They will not be acceptable as like the Monkeys were earlier. Good stoppage, quick little play. And so far here, this is a bit of worrying sign, Crafters. Brilliant Wade's had that play twice, hasn't got it, and that backward well exposed, and that shot should have been on target.
Really should have been. Once again, just shooting percentage between these teams, not the best in the world. At least keep it even for the moment as we tick past the minute-and-a-half stage. It really feels that Relating Wave and the rest of it Endpoint are the ones to be on the attack more often than not. And Solary just try to win this midfield battle in there. Well, at least they win it there against Metenčuks as Exotic. But for the most part, they're winning the midfield and then just giving up possession in the blue half of the field and just letting Endpoint just recover themselves and then mount attack downfield. But here comes a shot from Kerr, just straight into the path of the Relating Wave. Here comes Yukis again, peppering that net as hard and fast as they can. Solary just not giving way in this blue end of the field.
So the attack, and that shot snaked around. Endpoint's defense crumples when it matters most in this opening game.
Brilliantly played by Yukis and Exotic. And the defense just scrambling at that one. And like we said, just the amount of shots that Solary were putting up there is a bit ridiculous. I mean, 3 from Yukis so far, 1 from Kerr. Here comes Virtuoso, though. We know what he can do in the air. Straight to the backboard and straight out to the midfield again. Well played by the Solary defense, but Metenčuks is straight back on this one. Wave is there to try and make a follow-up, but Exotic will cut that one off before it can be even again. This is what we want to see from Solary, just cutting plays off from Endpoint. To the backboards goes Metenčuks and Relating Wave waiting for that one just a little bit too far in a bit of an awkward position, but maybe Virtuoso can make something happen from that left-hand side. Well, again, just the defense holding strong and now transition downfield for Solary. Relating Wave able to step in front of that one. Back and forth we go here, Danny. It's a bit of a ping-pong game as we tick past the halfway stage.
I expected it to be something similar to this for the opening one, Crafters. It has to be an Endpoint sort of taking the scruff at the neck here and just slowly play their way out of trouble. And so far, balls like that, loose, untamed, they have to find a way to find each other. So far, they're finding the exit of the tournament. They keep doing this in game 1, 2, and 3. Thankfully, this case, Yukis moves that one across to the corner, anywhere on target. He can get it, doesn't, and Metenčuks tips it away here. 2 minutes and under, Endpoint trails by 1.
And it's again Solary just holding on to this ball as long as they can. Nice pass from Exotic, finds Yukis right in the middle. Metsa makes the touch, but it's not hard enough. With a minute and a half to play, Solary 2 in front.
Just moves that across there. You can see on the mini-map alone just where the position was, brings it across. The defense there pretty much helpless due to where the angle and the accuracy of the shot to Crafters. I think maybe the 5-game prediction here might be awry at best if this keeps on going. Hurt, however, trying to do a one-man effort. He has to use his teammates. In this case here, really, Wave goes solo too.
And this is what Endpoint like to do. They like to push hard and push fast, but Solary are just not letting them do so. Might have seemed like they were letting them in the first half of the game, but they've really shut these down from the middle of the field. And Endpoint really can't get any cohesive passing play up in the Solary half, and now with 60 seconds left, maybe a little bit of desperation as Solary look to be going for 3. Again, Endpoint just holding strong now. You need to make a solid offensive push now if you're Endpoint, because you've not had it all game, and with 45 seconds left, time is dwindling.
It's a good question. When that chance will occur and when it's coming, the ooh and ah, and so far the Endpoint have one opportunity to get this one away. 30 seconds and under Metenčuks. Vert straight up. Anybody home? Kerr right to the opposite corner there. That will do nicely. And so far, Crafters here. Endpoint builds up nicely. But sadly, no good to show for it either.
And only the third shot of the game for Endpoint as a whole. It gets saved away by Kerr, who's been a master in defense. 3 saves for him. He might get a goal to boot. Actually, Exotic was on that one. Here comes Jukas, though, trying to drop this down for the 3-goal advantage, but it won't matter either way. Solary is going to take this one 2-0, and just a complete shutdown of Endpoint.
It's been a fabulous bit of defense there with Solary for the most part here. We just might see an attempt there, a base, but bar that factor, Crafters, we're seeing probably a good bit of defensive from them, but it's their offense you have to give credit to. I mean, just alone by the ball possession, dominating the field, slightly favoring a bit more boosts, is showing you they have the mid lane dominated by that point too. Endpoint look a little bit like a headless chicken performance at this current.
Yeah, I think most of the field domination from Endpoint, that 44%, that really came in the first minute or two, but then after halftime, it was really Solary just pushing that ball. 56% the field domination, the ball spending 56% of the time in the blue half, so Solary just running away with the stat advantage of that. But it's great to see from Solary after being, we could call it a sloppy first half, and then they just got their things together and started finding each other for these solid passes. And what we saw from Endpoint yesterday, that's not the same Endpoint we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, Endpoint much more cleaner, much more crisper, and especially in that passing play we've seen in game 2, how easily they were able to move the ball, shuffles around the defense quite easily. This Endpoint looks sluggish, it looks slow, looks unprepared, probably be the best way to describe it here. They weren't ready for Solary at all. And Crafters, if they do this in game 2, I would hate to be in that sort of comms mentality, probably at an all-time low there, and their backs against the wall. Haven't shown me just enough here to give me confidence for that 5-game thriller that Bacon and Jay was promising us.
Yeah, not yet, but it's still early doors as we go into game number 2. One stat I just noticed as the graphic went away there, no demolitions from either side. An interesting, very slow-paced game, but Joessi looking to go quick within the first 10 seconds. Get his shooting percentage up. He averaged 1 goal a game yesterday, obviously not scoring through it. That first game, he needs at least another couple in here. Here comes Relating Wave, though, drops that down, pinches it off the ceiling, and down, and Endpoint are ahead early.
Well, just moves across here, but at the bottom of your screen you just see Vert. He just went demo, and he just went anybody in orange, he just eliminated. And happily enough, he picks the right one to sweep on by to leave the door open. 1-0 with 30 seconds gone, and Vert moving down as quickly already. They're trying to bounce quickly, and it's a good start too.
Here comes Metenčuks, and he can't get it into position quick enough, and Solary's just going to go in the counter-attack. Kerr shoots, and he scores. Relating Wave can't get a touch into the corner. And just like that, Endpoint so aggressive in their push-up, leaving just this back line open, and Kerr finds that lane down the left-hand side.
They're almost begging to be scoring. It's just amazing how quickly sometimes it could occur there. But bar that factor, one apiece, and there Kerr just pops it down. Metenčuks to hold it nicely too. The nice little battle happening in the corner. Endpoint should be a little bit cautious. We have yet to see them play well from it. These situations will help please build a solid platform. They have to push further. Met solid block. Vert moves that one, shuffling the defense to Solary across the field. Metenčuks plays it across. Second touch on target in 2-1. Simple as it gets.
What positioning here from Metenčuks. Looks like he's going to go back for this one. Draws the Solary defenders in and just turns on that powerful shot. And the pass from Virtuoso on point. And Endpoint right back into the leads. We talked yesterday, Danny, about how veteran a player Metenčuks is and what he brings to this young squad of Endpoint. Those kind of plays, those kind of patient plays, that's what experience gets you, knowing what you can turn on. and defending that one solidly once again, keeping the lead just now, going towards net. Virtuoso actually will put this into the corner. Overlaying Wave and Virtuoso just clumped together, but he's leave that one for Metenčuks. Joessi with the double save will get that one away, but here comes Wave, plenty of boost, not plenty of boost in fact, and that will go right back into the hands of Exotic, right back downfield to Solary go.
About to pop on that one. It's a bit of chain, but you expect to Solary maybe the push onto that. Both of the two teams not feeling the same wavelength there. Backward stack, nobody there. Metenčuks, well, he was there, right time, right place, and Wave just bangs it down here. Possession, Endpoint, not even considering they haven't seen each other in the passing play. He seems to be able to solo for 2 minutes. 50 seconds left here, Crafters. At Endpoint here might be leading, but you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, it's sort of the same story as we saw from game number 1 with Solary all over this, and a bit of an awkward touch from Metza on his backline, but they do retain possession for the moment. But now Endpoint looking to push the issue once again and finds Metenčuks. Does relating Wave. Brilliant offensive push from Endpoint, pushes the goal margin to 2.
Oh, you would expect Solary. We've seen in the game 1 they defended quite well. They were able to keep Endpoint at bay, but hopeful challenge on that one there, and they just regain that lead. Endpoint able to extend it by 2 here. Metenčuks, good delay. Not open here, and the French can start knocking here. Sadly not the case. An quick shot. Unfortunately, he decides to roll it on the ground to blast in the top layer.
Look at Virtuoso go solo play of his own. Perfect position for someone to come in on that one, but Kerr wise to it, just taking that one away. That's the danger when you give Virtuoso open field and open space like that. You give him an inch and you'll run a mile. That's the kind of Virtuoso that Endpoint want to see today to keep themselves in this qualification stage of the Summer Grand Prix. Remember, this is an elimination match. Whoever loses will be going home. Whoever wins will go on and face the winner of our next game, which up on stream will be Vodafone Giants and Monkeys. What a matchup that would be, regardless of who wins this one. I can't wait to see who gets through on that one to possibly qualify for the group stages. But a minute and a half to go here in this one, Danny, and Solary just can't seem to get anything going downfield. Where we had that before, it was what happened with Endpoint back in game number 1, but that one's on target and no one can get it. Joessi just makes mincemeat of the defense and slots that in for his second.
Well, the fact that double committed into this one, why would not a defender on the right side of the play there? You can just see, I believe that was Virtuoso just desperately trying to go onto that one, doesn't get it. Solary will be helpfully taking that one in. More of that factor here. Endpoint will be sitting there feeling that's a chance loss. So just close the game down. Brave back into the corner. Metenčuks launches downfield, chasing it too. Exotic moves that one quite nicely. It's building up to a nice little 3-3 potentially of Endpoint. Just want to throw a hamper into that one. Sadly doesn't, bar that factor. Raptor slowly chasing now.
There's still plenty of time for Solary to make stuff out of this. Here comes Exotic round the corner, slows things down. 2 defenders have to step in front of it. Joessi coming in for the shot, and no one can get to it in time except the Endpoint defense, and now returning this one all the way back upfield. But Solary hold the midfield once again, possession back with them. Here comes Kerr, and the pass into Joessi, Exotic. And just off the crossbar, it will glance. Nothing doing here, but Solary pushing hard. They want to tie this one up, go for overtime. The Endpoint are not going to make it easy for them. 10 seconds to go. Full court carry required from Solary. The Endpoint are all with it. Metenčuks puts that one in a position where no one can get to it. And that is going to be game here in game number 2.
Yeah, just how that pinches away. There has to be more front face and anyone in field. Crafters, their Endpoint rightly deserved taking game 2 there. Maybe that prediction on the day is looking a bit more favourable. But Crafters, there's been 2 tails already into this one. Game 1, Solary, 2 for Endpoint, so it's a hard one to break down how this is going to be.
It really is. It's just interesting to look at these stats. And I mean, we talked about field domination in the last one and how Solary were just pushing up more and more throughout game number one. It was fairly even in that one. Everyone had their shots, but Solary were just denied the chances, and the Endpoint defense really stepped up in this one. You can see the save count 5 from the side of Endpoint, only 3 on the side of Solary, and who had the most shots? I think it was fairly even. I think it just edged in favor of Solary, but even still, you felt Endpoint's chances were more clean cut, more solid, and Solary just had no way through that middle of the field.
Yeah, it was intriguing how that mid lane was playing the factor there, and to give everybody at least a bit fair notice, we are aware the demolitions aren't fully counting, right? Because Vert had a few chances there, being the opening goal to really sort of help out Endpoint build the platform. But Crafters can't rely on Virtuoso just keep demoing for a couple of goals, because if they keep doing that, you're just asking for maybe a bit of issues. But we are at least looking forward to how they can present themselves further. Solary, how did they bounce back from here, though?
I think they bounce back by just playing solid Rocket League. Get back into your rotations. Don't let Endpoint get into your head, because obviously Virtuoso is just going to be going around trying to bump, trying to demo. I mean, we saw that yesterday when they were taking on Monkeys. I can't remember who it was, but Virtuoso just bumped someone completely in the net and just wouldn't let them leave, and opened the door for Relating Wave to pop one in for. But it ended up being a game-winning goal for that one. But here, I think Solary, again, they're so good at holding that middle of the field. They just need to do it more consistently and stop giving the ball away to Endpoint, because that's what's creating chances for them, and they're pushing upfield our Endpoint, and Solary defense just can't take control of it. They just need to win those 50-50 challenges in the middle of the field, and that'll work wonders for them.
Yeah, will that be the case off a 2? But we've seen Endpoint earlier in terms of this week already in day 1. Played a couple of times around, but didn't do well enough in terms of trying to push further into it. Bar that factor, game 3 will get underway quite literally now, as Relating Wave was on the kickoff of Virtuoso. It's almost like a magnet he has, just willing to demo at instance. Does get it, but goes against his teammate, and there we are, sliding back, attacking with full force like how they done in game 1. Endpoint, can they get out and break free? It seems to be no.
No for the moment. They are starting to push, and Solary just picking up pieces of this one, and Endpoint just happy to ping pong this one into the other half and play a little bit of defense, let the game come to them more so. That's when you let Solary in, rather. And you let the game come to you, and Ukis, oh, he bounces in the ricochet off the crossbar and down, and I think it came off the keeper as well. Regardless, Solary take the first.
Well, just the fact that he goes up, it moves in quite nicely. You have to be, frankly, be in the situation, but oh, well. How do you let that one go in? Will they be asking themselves what ends? Endpoint. Why?
What is this kickoff? Wave just pushing up with them and leaving the back line open. It was an ambitious move by Endpoint to try and gain some field position off of the kickoff, but it goes horribly wrong, and Solary are 2 goals up within the first minute. Could be 3, in fact, as Ukis is going to touch this one down, but Wave steps in front of it in the nick of time. And Endpoint looking for the counter-attack. It's not gone their way so far. Here comes Virtuoso, shot onto net, and Ukis gets that one to the side. But here come Endpoint rallying back after taking this 2-0 deficit within the first 60 seconds. Want to push it back within 1. Here comes Metenčuks. Plenty of boost, could get another touch out of boost now, in fact, and it'll be Kerr to put that one straight back into the path of Relating Wave, and Virtuoso around the corner now. Endpoint starting to hold this middle of the field. Well, they really need to and start gaining some field position, push that ball into the orange half as much as you can. Solary's defense are holding strong for the moment, Danny.
I think we can say that for a little bit of a pinch of salt for areas off that they need to improve greatly in their offense. That's where it gets to the end point. Non-existent in game 3, 2 minutes gone, and we can barely count the amount of shots I've had on target. And Kerr just moves it across here, really at the wave. I love the fact Lucas is just sitting at mid lane, sweeping around, just searching for the demos, just closing down any avenues that can be opened up. The Crafters here. Endpoint's got to play a couple of short passes here, at least make some inroads here, because they're barely a dent in Solary's half.
Well, you saw they took your advice pretty much straight away there, Danny. Virtuoso and Relating Wave. Try to pull off a bit passing play in the middle, but again, just being a little bit too predictable perhaps, and Solary just jumping on that. Here comes Relating Wave, they'll pass in. Not get it past Kerr. Here you can see Solary's transition downfield isn't the greatest in Endpoint. They are starting to get more possession for themselves. It's not translating into any counter attacks or any attacks whatsoever for that matter. Here comes Wave though, in front of net and no one able to jump on that. A bit of the boost starve game going on is Endpoint. You can see on the left hand side of your screen. Only Relating Wave, the only one with boost at the moment. Now Virtuoso just pick up that 100, but it won't be enough. It's Kerr. Flicks that one round. Beautiful shot to the top right.
Just moves in there nicely, catches it and just hits it on the volley. Anywhere near enough posting inwards, you're near enough having a decent chance of scoring. Endpoint look dusted. They have not shown enough anything in game 3 here. The series is really reliant on Solary making mistakes. They've barely made one here. Oh, this is not the Endpoint we've seen in day 1.
When you saw them yesterday against Monkeys, I think hit the nail on the head there, Danny. It was a case of letting their opponents make mistakes, and you saw them that Solary aren't making too many mistakes here, but Virtuoso, nice little pass up here from Relating Wave. And a power through the defense, draws in Kerr, who's in a very awkward position, in fact. Lots that in to bring it back within 2, but the playstyle of Endpoint, like you mentioned, Danny, just waiting for their opponents to make mistakes. It didn't work against Singularity yesterday. And it's, at least in game 3 here, not working against Solary for the moment. But Virtuoso looking to take this one a fair bit slower than what they've been going for. And I think that's the change up that Endpoint need. Try to take things a little bit slowly, catch your opponents off guard. But that's a draw in, and Yukis with the shot onto net, but it's straight back into the hands of Endpoint.
Exotic there's a chance to move that down. Yukis is moving across here. Solary, we talked about that mid lane being really much a part of it.
Oh! How can you let that one go? Everyone just slowing it down in front of net. I think that's what Virtuoso was trying to do, but Kerr and Exotic just faking out everyone. People flinging past the ball, left, right, and centre. And Solary with a comfortable lead now, 4-1, as we tick towards the final 60 seconds of game number 3.
Just when you thought Endpoint had a chance there, and well, to do that there, they are probably sinking lower and lower in their chairs, exasperated of any kind of hope and desire here. They have to find a way of bouncing back. Basically with 3 goals with 50 seconds here, you might as well focus on game 4 here, Crafters. And yes, they might be team to score 1 or 2 goals. To get 3, highly unlikely, as Wave tries to put one in, and Kerr, sloppy with the defense, still puts it to the corner. Now we have 30 seconds remaining.
And I think, at least at this point, Endpoint might have thought they lost the game, but maybe not so. Nice little pass in from Virtuoso, finds Relating Wave. This gives them the chance in this last 29 seconds or so of game number 3, and they could at least build momentum going into game number 4. And I think that's what they really need to be looking forward to, unless something goes in off the kickoff here. Maybe not so, but at least it's Endpoint with possession. Larry will play their defense just to close out this game, and that boom downfield from Kerr will drain enough time off the clock, in my opinion. This one looking to go Solary's way.
Well, it's been for some considerable time. I think that last goal by Endpoint was really a disguise factor at Crafters, because given that sort of hope, saying, yeah, we have a chance here, it was a good play, there's no doubt about it, but can they start all the way in the same fashion? Can they keep attacking? We know they can do it. We've seen it before within 2 days of play. Can they consistently wrap it together? So far here, it looks, well, not well enough to judge, let's put it that way.
Not really, and again, just the stats showing the possession 52% in Solary's favour. You really felt it that game. You felt like they were pushing much harder than they had been in the last few games here, Danny. and it pays dividends for them as they push through, get those 2 early goals, and I think that's really what swung it. I know it was in the first, was it less than a minute? Solary got those first 2 very quick goals, and the one off a kickoff as well. That's really what won this game, and there was really no way back for Endpoint at that moment in time. And you could really see just Endpoint struggling to try and find some momentum, find some ground within this one. And once again, they need to win this game to stay in the Grand Prix. This is our first elimination game, actually, Danny.
It is, and I don't think Endpoint's done themselves any justice here. I would like to give them a bit more praise. I would like to say what they've done well here. There's very little about that factor here, Crafters, because seeing what they were capable of, they haven't looked nowhere near their best. It's been a shadow, and Solary are taking full advantage of it. Is this Solary going to be enough to qualify? Well, they're in a similar situation. They can't afford to lose another game. It is a case of a must-win. And Endpoint, well, I hope they do something.
Yeah, I hope so as well. After their stellar run, or their stellar game rather, against Monkeys yesterday, and the guys mentioned, I think Jay mentioned it, Endpoint's run throughout the off-season, particularly the spring series. It was a feel-good moment for them because their roster, they've gone through some changes. They didn't have the best RLCS season last time around, but now bringing on Metenčuks has given them a new lease of life, at least throughout that, at least throughout the off-season. But now you're coming around to RLCSX time. And this is where it's starting to matter. Here in the Grand Prix, this is obviously qualification, and all the matches for RLCSX are going to be starting within the next couple of weeks. And this is really going to be the proving ground for a lot of teams. And I think we're just testing the lobby. In fact, just had a lobby reset, so the guys are just going to batter that ball about and pop one in it. Just so you know, it was Exotic who put it in. That'll reset the lobby for us going into this one. But Danny, going into RLCS season, obviously both Endpoint and Solary had booked their places in RLCS season 10 if we add that. Now it's RLCSX. How do you reckon, obviously Endpoint, like I said, the momentum building from them through the off season, now going into X, is this a bit of a damp squib? Was that a flash in the pan this off season, or do they actually have potential?
I think it's a bit sort of harsh to say, is it flash in the pan or will it work as well? Both teams will sort of take themselves as it's a slightly different format. They have a bit more time to work at. With that, they can build on to the Grand Prix is sort of the big finale of the old system. This is a chance where they can have a bit of it, but they want to start strong. They want to have that factor. And they've had a bit of time here. And the fact that Metenčuks has been on Endpoint for so long, Solary's only had Yukis for less than that, to be fair. So the excuse or the reason or maybe a potential where you can look at it sort of going, it's still a fresh team. Chemistry should already be built at this point.
Yeah, it really should be. And Solary, obviously, we talked about them yesterday, now bringing in the likes of Yukis, swapping out Melisishu in favor of the other Frenchman. And Solary, they look solid. Obviously didn't make it against Top Blokes yesterday, but Top Blokes have been performing phenomenally well. Obviously, we're going to have their game against Singularity a little bit later on to that qualification game for the group stages of the Grand Prix this week. So Solary, they need to put on a solid showing here, and obviously one more game, and they will be through to face either the Vodafone Giants or Monkeys, and that will be our next game up on stream after this one is done. We'll get this one done and dusted right here, right now, Danny. Possibly, if Solary can take it. You can see Endpoint right off bat in game number 4, wanting to take possession, as they have done so many times, but just giving it straight back into the hands of Solary, and now they're pushed in defense.
And they're able to deal with it much better, much more crisper too. A decent connection moving across here, and just the fact that Endpoints are going into this sort of hyper-aggressive bump very quickly. They're trying to create a couple of rungs pretty quickly, are not working well enough. As Yukis able to deal with it, Metenčuks drops all the way back, and a bump onto the keeper, wide open shot. But thankfully in their case, Virtuoso was able to get the angle, close it down. 1 minute gone, they were not goalless.
But it's all pressure from Solary. as it has been for quite a lot of this series. So Solary peppering the net as hard as they can. Nice little pass into Carrion and off the crossbar. Can Exotic follow up? No, he can't. He can just decide against it. Let Yukis come in for this one around the corner. His chance came and gone for Solary, but we will have more. No, creating one right now. Carrion brings that one down. Exotic will send it into the corner. Yukis will chase. Exotic over the top. He's got a pretty empty net to shoot on, but hits it straight into Relating Wave, who's waiting on that back post. Not the best shooting percentage here at the start of game number 4 for Solary, but at least they're making opportunities for themselves, where the Endpoint are just held back, restricted in their own half. And yet again, another shot from Solary, a fairly weak one, straight into the defender.
I'll have to find a way of getting a response here. Endpoint, as they're now getting the calories all the way back. Exotic, he sees Kerr. Oh, what a pass that was in Relating Wave. Moves it across Kerr, not in the right position that time around. And you have to feel a little bit sympathetic to Endpoint there. They had a chance to break through. They've been battered through. That 1 second there, a misstep. Or that factor, sorry, now on the attack.
Here comes Yukis looking for Exotic, who's sitting on that back post, waiting to just flick that one in. But again, Endpoint just struggling to get past this midfield line. Solary just working so well, rather. It's stealing the boost, holding everyone back. Now, Virtuoso maybe on a little bit of a break here, but he's got no boost in the tank. He's just going to lose that 50-50 easily to the Solary defense. 2.5 minutes gone, 2.5 to go here, Danny, in game number 4. Still no goals on the board, but it's looking ever more likely as time goes on that Solary's just going to hit one in. But here comes Metenčuks and Relating Wave to prove me wrong. Straight, once again, straight into the defender. And now Yukis looking to go over the top through 3 defenders, but can't find the hole in the final 2.
Well. Can't find it, but will they be able to keep on knocking? And so far, sorry, moving nicely. Virtuoso, you're bumping, trying to get boosts, and your 2 teammates are holding the defense. That's a nice transition. Stacked to the backboard. 2 are up, 2 dealt with. Relating Wave shot. Well, it's almost like he's trying to get the vacuum cleaner to get a bit of the sample of the sand here at Wasteland. Still haven't got anything. Virtuoso launches downfield here to get the attack going again. Other than that, Relating Wave over to Vert. Cut out by Solary once again.
This is a good little run of offense for Endpoint. Not really had too many opportunities in this game. Still no shots actually registered onto net, but are starting to create these chances, and Solary just working out of their, not quite their back quarter, but maybe their second quarter in their own field, holding Endpoint to a T. Just pushing this one back downfield. Still close to a minute remaining and no goals on the board, despite as many times Solary have shot towards net. 4 alone from Exotic. It might be Endpoint's turn, as Relating Wave gets the first shot for Endpoint in this game, and it comes with less than a minute to go, but Solary right back on this attack.
There they are, stacked to the backboard again. Wave's mistake, no hit. Virtuous launching that one to the side. We're trying to buy a bit of time, bit of position here. Vert climbing all the way back. Wave sitting patiently. The oohs and ahs you can hear by crafters of signify how close that chance could have been. And a rupture play. Vert just leaving that one, trying to joink it into the middle. Per touch here, 30 seconds and under. And Solary, well, you may have thought they had the lead, but they are certainly trying here with the remaining seconds.
A little bit frustrating as well from Solary, just so many chances created. 8 shots to their team's name, and still no goals, but it's going to be Metenčuks! After being pummeled in the backfield all game long, with less than 10 seconds to go, Endpoint might have just saved their Grand Prix run.
What a time to do it. The pass there by Vert. Great to see Metenčuks moving across there. Right, that's 1 goal. Now can defend the last remaining seconds of it. Seems to be they can. I haven't said it that often, but when it really matters, has Endpoint finally shown up? It seems to be, but Crafters, the main question, game 5, can they?
Can they do it? That is the question. Can they keep this momentum going? Obviously, Solary just beating them to a pulp in their own half of the field for the majority of that one. Oh my goodness. It was, you can see in the field domination stack, 60-40 in favor of Solary. Just shows you how often they were right on the coattails of Endpoint in their own half. And the shots 8 to 3 in favor of Solary, and just hitting the woodwork, hitting the keepers. Again, like I mentioned, it's just frustrating from Solary, because this is kind of what we saw from Endpoint yesterday against Monkeys, Danny. They were shooting really, really consistently, but straight onto the post and onto the defenders, and sometimes they just couldn't get the job done, and that's kind of what the story we saw with Solary was in that game.
Yeah, it's been a tale of two halves, especially how some of them are playing. But with the way Solary has been for the majority on the opposite side of that, is how well they can play. They can move into a certain situation. But the fact that both sides are able to close down each other, and this has been clearly the best game both teams have played so far in the Grand Prix here, Crafters. Surely that has to show you how good they can be. But Endpoint, I want to see a little bit more, because that's what we need from them.
We do need to see a lot more from them, but let's not discredit the defense they had to put on in that game against Solary, because they were pushed to their breaking point, yet they did not break. They simply bent. And now we find ourselves on Champions Field. Game 5. Winner goes on, loser goes home. Will it be Solary, who have been the better team in my opinion throughout this 5-game series, or will Endpoint scrape victory against the jaws of defeat? In the next 5 minutes or so, we will find that out, but it is Solary right on the attack from the get-go. Exotic will follow this one up on the backboard, looking to pinch that one down to find Exotic, but will only find the defense of Endpoint. And now the transition upfield, it needs to be quick from Endpoint, much quicker than that, because Solary were out of position for most of it, but the transition downfield was just a bit too slow, right back into the hands of Solary again. Everyone's scrambling for this ball, in fact. And letting Wave and Virtuoso make the smart move to get out of dodge and straight back onto defense and stop Solary getting an early one here.
We're still into the corner. There is a chance here. We've seen in a prior game in this series, Endpoint struggled. They couldn't get out of it. Pass 2. Now this time around, much better by Endpoint. Relieving Town with a shot. Vert with a bump. Mets went up. Now it's a foot race between Endpoint and Solary and Kerr. Joessi moving in tangent. One shot in target. And Metenčuks sweeps away with that one. 1 minute gone. Goalless between the two, but chances either side.
In a drag race situation like that, you need to go hard and fast. And that's simply not what Solary did. They hesitated too much, let Endpoint get back in defense, and now the transition downfield for Endpoint might be there. Metenčuks puts one into the top left corner, but saved away by the defense. Now back into the blue half. Here comes Solary. But Relating Wave's just going to slow things down, let his team regroup. Metenčuks has been demoed back onto the back line, but here comes Virtuoso, try to waste some time. Oh, beautiful maneuver, but can't make the shot in time. Exotic gets pounces on that, but Endpoint, they are on a roll right now.
Kerr moving down. How much is the roll going to be worth? One down, one went up. Wave right on the crossbar, moves across. Exotic to drop down. It's now a battle of positions, and so far Solary on top on this current juncture. Half of the game has been played here. Endpoint, at least to a certain standard, has been the better side. But Solary are feeling themselves here as Metenčuks just sends this one down the lane. Crafters here. It feels like a 1-goal game now.
Certainly does, and it might be in fact if Exotic can get it down. It's actually carrying. Misread the name, but it doesn't matter. Solary get the goal exactly on half-time. Relating Wave can't put a stop to it, and Solary take the lead. 2.5 minutes gone, 2.5 to go. And Solary might have just stamped their ticket to the next round, but not if Endpoint have anything to do with it. To the backboards, Exotic will tip that one away. Here comes Virtuoso on the pass from Relating Wave. They'll try to get it under, and he does! Beautifully played by Virtuoso and ties the game.
You've had 4 games, Endpoint. Same with yourself, Solary, and you save the best for last. Okay. They might forgive you for this one, but how good is the rest of your nerves with half a game remaining? Tournament life against you here. One mistake and you could be out. And Vert right from the kickoff trying to see and test the defense of Solary. They move well. They have to play it down the middle. It's not the wisest decision, but Kerr elected for Joessi Slow touch, delicate moves it across, shuffling now to Exotic, pinch away. Metzenor seen one pinch go to his favour. Second tier of asking two. Endpoint now building the counter attack.
Oh, big demo from carrying onto relating wave there. Just shuts him down because he was in a decent position to make a follow-up touch from what Metzenor was putting on to the backboard. Just looking at the stats here, Danny. 6 shots in favour of Solary so far. 5 saves in favour of Endpoint. It's been the story of the series here. Just Endpoint having to play so much defense. And they might struggle here. Exotic over the top. Metza, oh, just enough boost to get to that one. And Solary's offense was coming over the top. Now ticking towards a minute remaining. Again, it's Solary on the attack, but Endpoint now with the possession. Here comes Exotic to pick that one out of the air. And everything getting slowed down to a snail's pace by Endpoint. It's the pace they want to play with because Solary are just going to go quicker than you, much quicker than Endpoint can muster up, and passed in from Relating Wave to try and find Virtuoso, but Relating Wave finds it for Virtuoso instead from the corner, and Endpoint are ahead with less than a minute to go.
Just what the doctor ordered. Endpoint was ill. They have found a way of curing the illness of being eliminated and carry on. Exotic right on the kickoff. Relating Wave to take Solary out of the tournament with a 3rd goal. Endpoint desperately chasing for that now as Wave once again infield pass, too hot, too steamy. Virtuoso can't hold that hot potato as Yuka's there that time around, moves it down. 30 seconds. Solary, do or die.
And Solary, we've mentioned the shot count from them, only 1 goal to boot, and they've got to put another one in the next 20 seconds if they want a chance at overtime. Lucas picking this one up in the middle of the field, gets demoed for his efforts. 10 seconds remaining, full court carry required now from the half court, in fact, but it's right back into the orange half, right back into that orange corner. Very awkward position from Lucas, only half boost. Can he keep it up? Yes, he can. Well, Exotic will keep it alive for the moment, but straight down. Oh my goodness, picked up by Exotic, but he can't keep it up. And Endpoint will steal this game, Danny. They walk away with a victory, and they stay in the Grand Prix.
That game felt really Solary's to lose as Endpoint. Well, the fact they got away with that one, well, let's see if they can make that second chance really count. The statistic alone just shows you 50% yes to ball possession. They were 3% lower in comparison to the domination. I don't think even the stats show you a whole picture. You have to sit there and experience and watch it. And yet Solary probably feel hard done by, as to say, Crafters.
Yeah, you can see it from the shot total as well, way in favor of Solary. We mentioned it's just frustrating. We mentioned in game 4, in fact, it was just frustrating the amount of attacks and the amount of shots they were putting onto the Endpoint net. It was just frustrating to watch them hit the post, hit the crossbar, hit the defender every single time. And they couldn't walk away with the victory in game number 5 after really dominating, in my opinion. I think, I'll be honest, I think Solary was the better team throughout the series, but they just could not get the job done when it counted.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. There is situations you've got to win it, really. And how that played there, and I think just with that statistic alone there in the stats saying Relating Wave MVP, there's some shots he made in that series was crucial. Yes, the other two played their role. They're going to have to improve greatly. Who they're going to play later on the bracket, that's going to be a tricky one, Crafters.
Well, we'll figure out who they are going to play next as Solary drop out of the Summer Grand Prix. Endpoint make it to the next round, and they're either going to be facing off against the Vodafone Giants or the Monkeys. We'll decide who after this, after we break it down the desk.